Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, and right after all of that hurricane stuff, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was kind of glued to the Weather Channel because this is an event, or that was an event, that we're going to see more of and even stronger. And it wasn't a fast hurricane. It was a very slow moving hurricane. And so the whole premise of this video is outcome is intention. You give energy to something or you take away energy to something. And the reality is based upon how much energy you give something. And so this goes along the lines with whatever you put out there, whatever you talk about, whether it's for or against, you're giving it energy because simply by just speaking about it. And so it's kind of an interesting phenomenon that it doesn't matter if you're for or against something. Yeah, you may give somebody an idea that something is dangerous or something is safe, but the person will either follow you or they will make up their own mind and upon research come up with their own conclusion based upon what research they do. And so everything is relative to what a person intends to do, what they expect, and what their, just what their lifestyle is. And so it's interesting that I did speak about intention this weekend. And, even though John did post something about intention and design and all of that, recruit, whatever, some great definitions, then I'm like, it's always been that way. I've always said the outcome is always the intention. And so what is it? The outcome is the intention. All outcomes are the intention unconsciously, subconsciously, and consciously. And so how do you make an unconscious intention? Because even though you may not consciously say, oh, I want this to happen, you have issues around something. And so the rest of your body kind of knows your true intentions, even though you don't say it outward to yourself, you lie to yourself, or you don't say it outward to the world, you have secret feelings about something. And so it just needs to be confirmed to give you the ultimate decision choice to make. And so then the outcome is always the intention. Now, you could be have a clear gut and have actual intentions, and you are not hiding any of your feelings. And so you know that every action will have an equal or opposite reaction. And so you just know that everyone knows people's reactions. It's just a matter of how you want to characterize it so you don't come off like the bad guy. And that's when it comes to humans and intelligence and manipulation. And so it then becomes very complicated if you have an unclear gut. When you have a clear gut, you can kind of see things for what they are and point it out right there because you understand outcome is the intention. Okay, when you purposely give energy to something, whatever it is, you purposely give energy to something and you intend to show someone something, you intend to post something on Facebook, you intend to do whatever, then you know that there's going to be reactions. Now, you don't know if people are going to listen to you. You don't know if someone's going to watch it and do whatever, but you put it out there, and sometimes some people unconsciously know someone is talking about them and they will listen to it because they can't help. But, humans are curious. We'll look at things. And so then, yes, people will react, especially if they're easily triggered. And so this whole thing with this outcome equals intention, what clued me in on all of that was the whole mortgage crisis, because I'm like, I liked Obama way back when he first came on board. I was one of those that listened to his inauguration speech and was like, oh my God, oh, this is so awesome. I was like almost crying back then because it was like right on the heels of George Bush and all of that 9/11 stuff. And everyone was like all in an uproar. And here comes the savior, Obama, who walks in with ease, who is so eloquent and so articulate. And, he's a person of color and he just had the most amazing things to say. And it was just like what the country needed. And I wasn't in the conspiracy world then, so I wasn't thinking anything but what he was saying. And so as things moved on, and that. And then the mortgage crisis happened. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, I get that not knowing everything under, well, no, I don't get, because if you're a president, you have advisors, you have, you can see indicators. I mean, I'm thinking that, all presidents have an up on everything. Of course they do. They wouldn't be president if they didn't have some kind of inkling or notion of something amiss or not amiss. And so then I realized that, okay, so Obama's at the helm. We have this mortgage crisis. They're giving so much credit to people that didn't really earn it or deserve it, and they knew they couldn't pay it back. And they also knew that the adjustable rate, mortgages were going to put people really way on the upside down level, because interest rates always will go up, especially when there's, different deficits and surpluses in the market. At some point, there's going to be a correction, and that correction can really destroy people. Okay. And so that's what happened, was there's a major market correction with that much surplus of credit, and people couldn't pay back the loans because the interest rates went up, and so did their payments. And then they couldn't keep up. And then there you go. Then you're selling off these mortgage loans, their bad mortgage loans, to everyone and their mother, and then they all, lose their ass and companies go under. And I'm just like, okay, to be president, you have a degree in law, or you have a degree in poli-sci or political science. You have all these different degrees. You understand surplus and deficit. How the hell did he not see this? And so I'm thinking, you know what? This what started having me thinking, the outcome is the intention. The outcome is the intention. Because things would not happen, especially with the amount of intelligence that there is with our government, with everybody in the world who are leaders. They know what exactly they're doing. They know what's going on. And so then I'm looking at the fire, the wind, the rain, and the water out there right now in all of the different society, in different cities and countries. And they're going through fires, they're going through hurricanes, they're going through floods, they're going through so many different things. Tornadoes, volcanoes, I mean, you name it. Fire, wind, rain, and water can build a life up. Okay, it starts life, and it can also destroy it. And so, yeah, the outcome is the intention. The outcome is completely the intention. Okay, and we didn't used to have all this stuff happening way back when. And yeah, you can blame it on climate change, but who's changing the climate? And why? And maybe it does go through cycles, or maybe it does get intentionally manipulated because of certain conditions. And yeah, I mean, humans were bioengineered because the atmosphere and the climate was manipulated by some kind of panspermia. Okay, and panspermia is when you have vectors of life come through and penetrate the atmosphere, seeding life and causing chemical reactions, of which we have biodiversity, and then eventually intelligence. Viruses then become actual intelligent people. And so with the whole thing with the J juice world and the JJ mentality is that a clear gut has an evolutionary intention, because a clear gut means that the body, mind, and spirit are aligned, that it understands, I mean, your gut understands that it's promoting life, you're protecting yourself from unwanted energy, and also you're giving clear communication. And also you are giving you're giving clear communication with intention to build up yourself and give people options, because you still live in a community. Okay, and so then an unclear gut needs to purge every so often. And that's what we thought with the J juice world, is that we thought we'd be using J juice every so often to purge. And maybe that's so because the environment can be aggressive relative to how many viruses are being mutated or being released, like new viral entities. But I don't even think you need to really purge. I mean, right now I've been exposed. Now, here's the thing. Even then, if I get exposed to, let's say, a vaccine, okay, which is fine if I actually do the vector because it becomes mandatory for whatever reason in some instances that I can't get away from. I might just do like do a few shots of J juice to activate my immune system to get my little army in check because they are the primary antibodies. And the salt will neutralize the activated therapies that are in the vectors. And then my immune system will then go and kick out anything that doesn't belong. But would that really be a purge, or would that just be managing my intake of new information? Because like any new information, it must be metered incorrectly and not be so much that it overheats and overrides that it's being brought in through adaptation. And so that's when I would purge, really. But even if I was exposed to a therapeutic before, back in May, because somebody was recently vaxxed and I breathed in their air. And so I took on the antibodies and my body purged. And I think I did 2 shots of J juice in the middle during that, getting that coughing out. But then I was exposed to somebody like one of my neighbors. I don't know if they were vectored or not. It doesn't even matter. They had antibodies. They could be around people who were vectored, and my body just coughed it out. I didn't need to do anything else but just cough out what the secondary invader programming was doing. So I don't even think you need to really purge every so often with the J juice after you reversed all your issues. It's just now adaptation. Okay? And so I'm just looking at like all of these, like I'm watching the hurricane stuff and I'm thinking like, you could take energy out of a hurricane, you could put energy in a hurricane. You can take energy out of a fire, you can put energy into a fire. You can take energy out of any type of situation. You can take energy out of it or you can put energy into it. I mean, that's the whole thing with energy and intention. All outcomes are the intention, like they seriously are. And me thinking about what happened with Obama back in 2008 and the mortgage crisis, and I was in the insurance field at the time watching, all of my clients just go belly up and trying to break into an industry where clients were bellying up everywhere because they couldn't afford the houses they lived in. And so they couldn't afford the insurance. And so you're just like, how do you break into an insurance industry when you can't even get clients because they couldn't afford the house they live in? And there's like so many houses out there. This is out there in Elk Grove, California. And then going into Countrywide, into an office of Countrywide where they had rows and rows and rows and rows of desks and say, hey, the guys at Countrywide were like, hey, yeah, go ahead and take whatever you want because this whole company is bankrupt. So go ahead and take all the the furniture and whatever it is that you need. And I remember, pilfering through the old Countrywide offices that everyone was fired from because the company couldn't handle it anymore. And so I'm just like, how the heck did Obama, how did George Bush, how did they all allow this to happen? And I'm like, oh, because the outcome is the intention. We're in a great purge. We're in a great reset. And you're seeing now firsthand with this hurricane, even though they're saying it wasn't as bad as Katrina, it was still pretty bad and it was going slow. Okay. I mean, I'm sure people have died. There is a first death and they're going to have to go and pick through the rubble. But I'm telling you, if you're in these areas that are highly prone to rain, wind, water, and fire, okay, and then, yeah, there's snow, but I can handle the snow. See, that's the thing. Yeah, I can handle the wind and the rain and all that, but I don't live next to the ocean. Now, we do have a few tornadoes that come through here, but they haven't come through in my area. But I'm in kind of like in a valley. But I'm not immune to any kind of inclement weather because I heard a lot of thunder last night. And things could always turn around and happen, and you still have to heed warnings and do the best you can to stay light on your feet. But if you are in a highly prone area like being out there in Florida, which I understand some of you are like, some of you can't afford to move or say you can't afford to move, but I tell you what, the Gulf Coast has always been in the crosshairs. It's no surprise that Haiti has always been in the crosshairs and then the Gulf Coast. and that whole area, because there is a lot of reconfiguring of the map. And I've seen some of the maps back in my conspiracy days of how, with the rising of the waters and melting of the ice caps, parts of the United States are going to be underwater, earthquakes and fires and all. I mean, there's going to be a lot of reconfiguring, and some of it could be it's manipulated. Others, it could be just part of a chain reaction of a lot of events that may have had, catalysts that you don't know about. And that's the thing, you don't know the catalyst to all outcomes. You just know that there's an outcome, but there wasn't an intention behind it. Okay? Because if you know a pattern, let me give you another example. If you know a pattern of somebody, okay? Like I know a pattern of my dog. Sometimes she likes to pee on my floor because she just doesn't feel like going outside and peeing. So she pees on the floor, and I'm like, oh, jeez. She did that this morning. I'm just like, what the heck? Well, now I got to go and intercept that and get her out and watch her instead of letting her be up there by herself thinking that she's going to come down and go outside. No, she's going to find a way to pee wherever she wants because she's being a little stubborn right now. Okay, got it. So I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm going to go and try to intercept that pattern. I'm going to go and try to do something to make sure that she knows you're not going to pee in this bedroom here, okay? And so that's the thing. If you see a pattern going on and you have the capacity to infuse certain energies or take away energies, adding chemicals to take away or subtracting chemicals to do whatever, then and you can control the weather, then why are we having these catastrophic things going on? We can control the weather. We can control all the elements. We can control how crops are crossbred. We can control how humans react and act. I mean, we as in all of humans, if given all the tools and the know-how, we can control our environment. Okay? And so then you're like, okay, now that we're seeing, okay, we can control these things. The outcome is always the intention. Now you have to understand that you are not in control. The humans who have their fingers on the pulse are in control. And you got to figure out, how do you stay alive during all this mess? Because I'll tell you what, even the vectors are not going to save you from all the new viral variants that are going to be found in all the dark corners of the world. There's no possible way you get everybody, 7 billion people, on the same vector programming, whether it's wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, getting vaxxed or not getting vaxxed. There's no freaking way you're going to get everybody on the same page. And you can't even try to attempt. Not that we've allowed so many arguments to then give people a brainwashing, and then they're like morally against it. If you don't give people the opportunity to understand that pain is healing and that you must feed it with all the food supply, and you say that pain is horrible, then every single evolutionary virus that's out there is going to be the enemy. So there's no way you're going to get everybody. And then when you have things on the inserts that say this is what happens when you get this, maybe, how the hell are you going to get anyone to buy into anything when you've already set them up to fail by not recognizing that pain is healing? And so then I'm thinking like, oh, the outcome is the intention. The outcome is, and I learned this also through landmark education, which is one of the seminar series program I went through when I was actually right out of high school. It was in the early 90s. And I think that's what really shaped everything that I knew and shaped like my development, is by taking those courses way back in the beginning of my youth, when I was still trying to figure out who I was, in my early 20s. And I was hanging around with European 30-year-olds because they were my roommates. One of them was actually someone I was in the military with, and then she had roommates who were from Germany, and they went to DVC, Diablo Valley College, and one from Lebanon, another one from Germany, and from France, from different places. So I got a lot of multicultural immersion in my 20s without really knowing it. But I've been exposed to older people my whole life. So I've always had exposure, or I've always had some kind of introduction to some pretty advanced stuff in my youth. And so, yeah, they introduced me to that seminar series program that says, outcome is intention. Outcome is always the intention. And I see it so true because we can control. I mean, when you have trouble getting up in the morning and your alarm clock didn't go off or you didn't hear it, then if you know that's who you are, then you have other secondary measures to back up. What's your plan B? What's your plan C? What's your plan D? Every single goal that you have, every single thing you do, every single day must match with that goal. If you want to reverse all your issues, the cancer disease, chronic illness, the aging process, then what you do today will definitely speak to what you want to ultimately achieve as in the future. Okay, and so that's always been in the back of my mind and always been part of everything that I did, even while going through all the trials and tribulations. And so so how do you articulate outcome is the intention if you don't even know how to even like prove it? Well, it's about energy. If someone says something to you and you don't react, you walk away, you block them, you whatever, you just cut off the energy right there. Like you cut off that energy right there. But as soon as someone says something and you have a trigger reaction because you have unresolved issues. And so when someone triggers you, whether what they say on Facebook or what they say in the news or what they say in your home and whatever, and you react, then they know they can control you through that reaction. See, the power is in not reacting. That's what people don't understand. Right now we have everybody and their mother out there reacting to something. Okay? But the power is in not reacting. And when you do react, you keep that shit to yourself because that's your cards. That's like your deck. As soon as you react to something, a person, place, or thing, you are showing your deck. You are showing your cards. And so then they have the strategy, the one up on you to figure out. And that's how I've always operated. Maybe you know that, maybe you didn't. I didn't even know that I knew how to do that. But then I also realized I also was raised by a psychotherapist who understood how to get people to react, to then start using that information to make specific choices. And so that's also a tactic in psychology, psychotherapy. It's a tactic in psychological operations. Okay? And so at least with all this energy that you're seeing right now, okay, now you have the data to make very, very sound decisions, very clear choices. But it'll take a clear gut to do that. It's going to be hard for you to make very sound, aligned choices if your gut isn't clear. And that doesn't mean you keep doing J juice all the time, 24/7, until you weigh next to nothing and are next to nothing. A clear gut means that you're able to poop every day without using J juice. A clear gut every day means that you're able to eat all the food in the food supply and adapt to your environment. I'm bigger bone now and more meat on my bones and more fat on my body. Not like I'm obese and I'm not underweight, but I'm getting prepared for winter. I have a clear gut. My body is preparing for the geography that I live in. I am not catering to all the social constructs. I'm not catering to anyone else's expectations. Actually, my husband really likes the extra added padding on me. It's interesting. And things are better in that area, which is kind of cool. And so it's all around a good thing. But as soon as you let go of the social constructs, all the different, expectations that you see in the magazines and all the things that you think are supposedly, the right thing, and you start adapting to your environment and you eat all the food in the food supply, you poop every day and you deal with all the new viral variants, then you're going to have a clear gut and you'll be adapting, you'll be fluid with this environment. But you must have a clear gut. That means that you have to wake up all the retroactive evolution of all the viruses that are laying within you that's making you angry, sad, obese, underweight, emotional, like an empath. And that's going to be difficult for a lot of people because that's their identity. Being angry is their identity. Being obese is their identity. Their disease, their cancer, their chronic illness, or autoimmune disorders are their identity. And so they first must come to terms with it. It's not really who they are. I mean, yeah, it's who they are right now because that's the programming they've taken on. But there are also a lot of people are unhappy. And then you see then that the time and the environment are ravaging them. And it's going to be exponential. So the first thing to getting a clear gut is first really just wanting to come to terms with everything you think you are, and maybe you're not, and then redeveloping who you want to be. And you have to kind of know, you have to have a path. If having kids is the only claim to fame, okay, then you raise a great kid, but that kid also holds the same programming that you have. you'll be revisiting everything that you went through as a kid, all the idiosyncrasies, everything that you fought with your mom about. I mean, it's going to be interesting in this day and age nowadays with the kids growing up so fast and all of their idiosyncrasies and things that are like at deficits and also, surpluses. They're going to be coming to surface so quick because of how dynamic this environment is going to be. And so, when you're raising a kid that hasn't reset the body and are able to adapt to this environment, you'll be fighting yourself. And so, I think that there's more than just raising kids. I think it's also developing yourself as a person. But you can't tell someone who is solely raising kids that they also could develop themselves while they're raising children. And so that's why there's so many distractions, because raising kids is hell. It's difficult. I mean, yeah, there have its rewards, but it's also so difficult. That's why I don't have any kids. I thought I did, but my husband was smart. I mean, he knew that he was dealing with things that were not very kosher, and so he decided that no, he didn't want kids, and didn't want to deal with all the crap that goes along with it, with kids, and so he walked away from a lot of things. And I would too if I had to deal with such bad energy. Okay, and so it's one of those things that it sucks that people are like, oh yeah, you should have kids, you should raise them, you should do this and do that. When you're not told a lot of things when you're in your youth and your hormones are raging, and then you get saddled with people that aren't that you're not going to be with forever. Everyone makes their choices, and raising kids in this society is not easy because it's unbalanced energy. They have unbalanced energy. And so if you want to keep your sanity, you balance your gut, you balance your kid's gut, and you deal with all of this viral evolution. You deal with all the viral evolution. Because I'm telling you, people will find ways to leverage their power over you in any way, shape, or form. The government will do it. Spouses will do it. Exes will do it. That's why I said I hate the term deadbeat dad and deadbeat mom, because you have no idea what they had to deal with. And people leverage power over you using different modes, different methods that they think is going to make you look like this or that. So I see through all of that manipulations when it comes to raising children. And people use children all the time for that. And so clear gut means that you have to come to terms with that your kid isn't like a leverage piece. Your kid isn't like everything that you weren't. Your kid is a human that needs to be able to balance itself out so it can finally survive in this environment without having to wonder when they're going to meet their predispositions at inopportune times. And so, yeah, I think all people should figure out who they are and figure out how to deal with the PTSD. And so that's why we have so many cycles of violence and generational issues. It's because people have never come to terms with their issues, never come to terms with anything. And so they keep repeating the same thing. That's what reproduction is. That's what all of that is, just repeating the same stuff. And when you're in a cured state, and I saw a meme when someone said that, oh yeah, or something about cures are great, cures are wonderful, natural cure, like they're against the big pharma stuff. And they're saying that cures are awesome. I'm gonna say no, they're not. Cures are great, very temporary. But but temporary and cure is kind of oxymoronic, because you can't really have a temporary cure. You can have a moment of a plateau where you're not evolving to something new. But a cure means that you have the inability to evolve. You can't take in any new information. And we live in a society that cures are the king. And so people don't evolve. They don't take in new information. They keep having kids on the same body that never dealt with predispositions. And it happens generationally. And then at some point in the future, these kids then get so glitchy. And then modern science and medicine has to go in and try to tweak it with side effects. And you don't know what those side effects are. And that's kind of the nature of the beast. So that's why we have this crazy reset. The outcome is the intention. I don't love it, but I'm giving those that have ears to listen and hear to start redirecting the energy. especially if you want to survive in these crazy environments. Because I'm telling you what, these viruses are going to get more exponential. The energy in our society is going to get more exponential. The fires, the wind, the rain, and the water are going to get more exponential. And you're going to have to find a way to figure out within you how you're going to survive this and also raise your kid in this. I don't know how that's going to happen for those that have kids with major deficits. Or they have so much energy, they don't know what to do with it, and it's not being channeled correctly. I have concerns. Absolutely, I have concerns. So anyways, I don't know. I know. I still love my dog, though. I know she peed on the floor this morning. I don't know. She had no reason to. She wasn't going through any kind of seizure. I think she just got lazy, and she just didn't want to go outside because it's been raining. But whatever. You want to see Sugar? I just told her she was a bad girl, and that was it. I didn't get too mad at her. But she's doing okay. When I said bad girl, she just gives me a look like, yeah, what are you going to do, bitch? So I'm really going to have to scrub that carpet and then watch her and get her on another track because she definitely retracked her brain during all this stuff. So anyways, and maybe because she peed on the floor before when she had seizures and she still smells remnants of that. So I'm going to have to really scrub the carpet. So that maybe it could be my fault too. So I will take some responsibility. But anyways, yeah, outcome is always the intention. And so when I wrote to the other day that if you show my videos to anybody, you have the intention. When you show my videos to anybody, you have the intention to destroy someone or evolve them. Okay? And that's the thing, is that people claim that, oh, I didn't mean for this to happen. Yes, you did mean for this to happen. Absolutely. And so, yeah, everything that you do, it has an intention to destroy or evolve. And you know how people react to any information, especially if you know them very well and you know their patterns and you know their belief systems. And so, we all need to take responsibility. And I'm very aware. And I do things especially to evolve people, not to destroy them, because everything that I do is evolutionary. Because salt isn't poisonous, it's a cure, but you can cure yourself out of existence if you don't feed yourself food, and you should always be eating food. But too much food will cause then heart issues, hypertension, whatever. Not enough food will cause hypertension, heart issues, and all that stuff. So there's always a balance. And so, right now watching, like I'm going through my newsfeed, I'm looking at like South Lake Tahoe under evacuation. I never thought that they would burn down South Lake Tahoe, but they are. So Tahoe is going to be destroyed. All those cabins out there in Tahoe are going to be destroyed. Everything is going to be like a human habitation zone where you're only going to circulate within very metropolitan cities that are highly under a lot of control and a lot of viral mutations that will work against you. And that's what the world we're coming into, is the Hunger Games at the micro level. Because you could be enjoying everything and eating everything, and partaking in all the wonderful things out there, but you're still working in a dynamic environment. And even though you have a vector or a therapeutic or a shot, doesn't mean it's going to protect you, because there's so many mutating viruses, and the energy to trigger your immune system to bring up all the antibodies are going to work against you because you don't have what it takes. See, when you're in a dynamic environment causing your body to react, whether you feel it or not feel it, it's still energy working against you. It's still thermodynamics. You have to keep feeding the thermodynamics. But people don't understand what food is. And so they have so much food and their body isn't able to process it. So then it keeps the fat on, or they are so highly discriminatory in food because, hormone imbalances, as well as when you're obese, you have hormone imbalances. And so the food isn't able to stay on them because they metabolize food so quickly that it doesn't stay on them to give them any kind of protection or insulation in weather. Maybe you might buy yourself some time with more fat on your body, but that's still a crapshoot, because who knows how your vital organs are. And you may have predispositions of heart issues where that extra piece of food that you need, but the body isn't able to process it correctly, could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And so, so about that lady that was talking about cures. You're not supposed to be in a cured state. You're not supposed to be cured. You're supposed to evolve. Division comes from people being in a cured state of a belief system. They have no intention. They had no intention to evolve from, and then they died. That is the life that we live in right now when we rely on cures. JJ is about resetting your body and then evolving with the environment. And that means you feel the heat. You feel the viral heat. Sustaining evolution does not have to be so painful. So as long as you deal with the painful retroactive evolution, you suppress with cures. So if you are 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 years old and you're doing the J-juice, which means you're opening up your ionic gates and you're waking up all the retroactive evolution, all the viruses that you've suppressed, it's going to be a lot of energy that some people can deal with. Some people will have to do it very slowly because that is like latent viruses waking up, and they do influence your programming. Some people throw up, other people will have waterfalls, other people have skin issues, other people will feel stuff in their vital organs. It's not that you're going to die, so as long as you keep eating, but you're not used to feeling symptoms because you've been told your whole freaking life to mitigate symptoms, to not feel anything, to be basically a zombie in a cured state, and the system can control your belief systems. Because any kind of cure then freezes you in the state that you're in. Not literally, but kind of freezes you in your belief system. So it's hard for you to evolve in a society. You don't want to feel pain and you don't want to take in new information. That's why I got a lot of pushback, because I'm trying to evolve in a very cured society that doesn't want to deal with pain and doesn't like new information or anyone that does anything different. And so, yeah, I've been kicked out of a lot of different circles and families and whatever because I am so evolutionary. That's more than they can handle. And I understand it. So I just keep going and, seeding circles and circles. And finally, my husband's the only one out of everybody that really understands me. And because I offered him something as far as my skills, and he offered me something, and so we have a symbiotic relationship. But everyone else out there that's in a cured state doesn't understand me. But Jason sees the value in me because I've helped him get to a certain level, and he's helped me get to a certain level. So he understands where I'm coming from. But nobody else freaking does. Except for maybe Bridget and John and all of you on the J-Juice that are doing the J-Juice. But in the beginning, Jason was the only one that understood where I was coming from because he knew the value of me and I knew the value of him. And that way to work together. So I know I'm skipping a little bit. So anyways, I'm going to go because I'm skipping. Bye.